Welcome to the apex of sports ownership, the Apex Athletic Collective.
Welcome into episode 103 of Instigate Success Building an ABA Franchise. Your host here, as always, Jake Schoen, aka Jakeymuffins. Sorry about the few-minute delay there, but we are here for episode 103 of Instigate Success, the official podcast of the Hoosier State Instigators. We'll be covering some information here as we get closer to wrapping up the off season, going into the regular season, and just seeing what we've got on the schedule for tonight. A lot of it's going to be similar to last week, but we will go a little bit deeper into that schedule, and we'll go a little further in that again next week as well. So if you haven't already seen, we've made some of the roster announcements for the Instigators for season 3 of our play here in the ABA. We've already put out the announcements for all the returning players from last season. We also did have one that we mentioned last week as well that wasn't put out in that initial list of guys that were in the announcement for players returning to the team, but we'll have that one up here shortly too. Just have to work on getting those graphics and posts put up for that. But we did it alphabetically as far as guys returning from season 2 going into season 3. We had these up not too long ago. Let me see. So we had LB. He was the first one we announced returning for the Instigators this season. A young player who we look forward to seeing him continue to grow with the Instigators. And one player, we got a little highlight clip for all of these guys. If you haven't already seen them, they are up on our YouTube. They're also on the social platforms as well. You can check those out. We showed them last episode too. But LB, a great player who has the opportunity on both sides of the ball, and a prolific scorer. We mentioned he has the opportunity possibly to be one of the leading scorers for the Instigators this season as well. But definitely happy to have LB back on the roster for this season 3 coming up here. And season 3, it is just about, it's less than 2 months away at this point. So not too much time left, but that's why we got these announcements coming out. Again, we went alphabetically, so we have LB, number 30, first guy we announced alphabetically by last name. Second guy that we had put out on the announcements was Malcolm Martin. Malcolm is going to be returning with the Instigators as well. He was our he was on the second team All ABA last season, so a star player, team captain for the Instigators last season, and one of the key pieces I feel like, especially on the defensive end for the Instigators, but well-rounded player, a guard that has been able to fill pretty much any role we need and keep the team going in the right path throughout the season. But I think the one thing that we always kind of remember when we think of Malcolm Martin is the prolific defense, in my opinion. He had several games where he had the ability to take a charge and kind of change the momentum in those games. And basketball is definitely a game of momentum and swings, and if you're able to control those, that is where you make most of the points up is from that. But so that's obviously featured in those highlights. There's some charges in there, also some steals in there, but also a great shooter and ball handler, passer as well. So somebody we know that can do just about anything that we need done. Malcolm Martin returning as for another season with the Instigators as well. Um, so welcome back, Malcolm Martin, and we look forward to having uh, him back on the roster as well. Number 21 for the Hoosier State Instigators. Third guy that we announced was Levante Nelson. Levante, is the single game points scored record holder, over 40 points in one game. So definitely somebody that can put up a ton of points. We've seen the games that he got hot, especially from the 3-point range. He is one of the best shooters from that. He also filled in a lot of different roles with the Instigators. Somebody that can play a little bit bigger than they actually maybe physically are. And he was great at filling in some kind of bigger roles when needed, playing down low and providing a lot of offensive rebounds. So, somebody that might have more of the traditional guard body type, but he's had that ability, obviously, to put points up, but also to help on the rebounding as well. And the defensive down low. So definitely somebody that's been able to do whatever's asked of them with the Instigators. Definitely look forward to having Levante back with the Instigators here for season 3 coming up. But we mentioned that LB is one of those guys that we could see leading the team in scoring. Tay as well is definitely somebody that we could see leading the team in scoring. Obviously, he's got the single game record, but as far as overall on the season, somebody that may have that title at the end of the year. The fourth guy we announced was Steve Rogers. So Steve, another young guy who we really look forward to seeing the jump. I think from last season going into this season. Somebody that I think if you watched from the beginning of last year, we heard a lot of good things about him in the off season, the practices and stuff. Didn't play quite as much in the beginning of the year. It's his first professional basketball contract, and first time we're getting him in the ABA. So we kind of worked into getting him some more time and minutes in the game, and by the end of the season, he expanded the role, and we saw that he was able to, kind of take that, and be a little bit more comfortable, and take those minutes and make more out of his opportunities as we went throughout the season last year. And I think from what I've heard, the jump he'll be able to make from what we saw from last season to this season is going to be another great jump as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that as well. Um, but definitely somebody that has flashed when they've been in. He's got the ability. He's to dunk, play defense. He's also got great shooting ability as well. So somebody that is definitely another one of those young guys you want to see continue to develop and build their career with the Instigators. Obviously Stephen LB. So, always, a fan favorite as well. Captain America with the nickname. So definitely looking forward to have Steve back with the Instigators going into this upcoming season. And the last guy that we announced, again, this went alphabetically, was Dame Wilburn. So Dame, one of the guards from last season, a little bit of a later addition with the Instigators last year. So I think of the guys that we've announced, they were on the initial roster, other than Levante. Levante, was added, I think, after 2 games or so. Dame was a little bit later than that. But the guys played the majority of the season with the Instigators. Dame, played kind of that traditional point guard role a lot of different times, and his abilities at that role definitely were showcased throughout the season. He had several, highlight style flashy passes, some shots through contact, and then also a lot of different steals on the defensive end. Obviously you can see that in the highlight tape we had for him. But definitely another solid piece, another solid addition returning to the roster for this upcoming season with the Instigators. So 5 very solid guys returning to the roster with the Instigators. The other one that we got a little bit, I got a little bit of a late start on as far as the announcement. So we'll be working on that. That one will be out shortly. But returning, we do have one more guy, another guy that came later into the season with the Instigators, and only had a few appearances. So again, it'll be a little bit different, but another guy that was on the roster from last season that will be joining the Instigators for season 3 will be Greg Hardiman. So Greg as well will be joining the roster too. So that'll put us at 6. That puts us just about halfway as far as the roster goes. The other half is going to be composed of new players. So did put an announcement out. We'll be continuing to announce players as well as the schedule, which we'll jump into the schedule here in a little bit. But that is what we got for our returning guys, and we'll get that graphic out here again shortly for Greg as well. So that's what we've got for the roster. Next week we'll probably have some more on that, and then let's jump into the schedule. So we just announced the schedule this week, if you haven't already seen it. And we'll start with the first half of the schedule here. We can see there. So the 2025 portion of the schedule, we're going to start on the road for our first 2 games. We have already mentioned that we'll be out in the St. Louis area. So we've got the game against the Missouri Capitals is November 1st. That same weekend, we'll also be playing against the St. Louis Spirit the following day. So we'll have a road trip out there for the first weekend of Instigators basketball for this upcoming season. So start on the road, then we'll come back home after that weekend. We'll have our first game, our home opener against the Ohio Kings, familiar opponent. That is November 8th. And then we stay at home for the following week against the Louisville Pros, another familiar opponent. So the 2 home games to start out the season are, guys or teams that we've played in the past, both our first season and second season. But our road trip to start off the season is going to be the first time we play either one of those 2 teams with the Capitals or the Spirit. So we've got those 2 games. And then we've got a road trip after the 2 home games. So we'll play against the Kings on the road. So that'll be our first home and away series that we complete on the season. Against the Kings. The Kings, again, we're still looking for our first win against the Kings. We've come close. We've had some good games, but the matchups in those have been pretty high scoring for the most part. And the Kings, I think, have been led by Cam Mitchell in just about all those games, except for maybe one he may have been, over with the Mexican league team at that point. But very high scoring regardless. Um, and the games that he has played, he has had 40 plus points or whatever. So uh, that's definitely, I think, one of the key factors when it goes into any of those games against the Kings is you're gonna have to expect high scoring, but you also have to try to limit the scoring as much as possible. But you do have to know that you have to put up a ton of points in those as well. Um, yeah, so we have uh, that series at home and away with the Kings, and then the next week we'll go on the road to Louisville, take on the Pros. So we'll wrap up two home and away series with those two teams. Again, we played them in the past a few different times. Louisville Pros, we've had some good matchups against as well. We've had that overtime game. I think the first time we played them back from season one. Um, so we got that, and then there's always those games are always like a defensive. More of a defensive struggle. So you've got kind of the flip side on both of those. The Kings games with the higher scoring, the Pros games more with the defense. So I think those are good games to kind of go back and forth from, and hopefully learn from each other in those games. Then we go back home against the Indiana Shuckers, and we've got a home and away series in the same weekend. So Saturday we'll be at home, Sunday on the road against the Shuckers. But I think that is going to be a really, really fun matchup. And there is some discussion. This is a teaser here. We may have a theme night going on for that home game, trying to get things finalized on our end here for that. But just a little teaser for that. So that might be something, and we may have. Trying to arrange for a celebrity player, possibly even for that event. So that's why we got to get things finalized for that. But that is something we've got cooking up. So a little bit of a teaser, hopefully, with that game there. But I think that's going to be a fun matchup there, um, and you know, it'll be it'll be nice to play against the Shuckers for a regulation game in the ABA as well. This again is going to be their first season, scheduled to do the full regular ABA schedule. So first season as that. They helped with fill-in games last season. So I think they're going to be a good team as well. We've had good matchups against them every time we've played the preseason games, and then this is going to be our first regular season game against them. Then we've got the last game of the 2025 schedule is going to be against the Indiana Legends, back again at home. All of our home games, again, remember, are in the Best Choice Fieldhouse in Fishers, Indiana. We're returning back to that home venue from last season. So that's what we've got for 2025. Legends, I think are a team that we saw big improvements upon from last season. We have won all of our games that we faced off against them, but the leaps and bounds from season one into season two of our existence that we've seen from the Legends, I think that shows they're going to be a tough team as well next season as well. So that's what we got for the 2025 portion. So a couple of new teams to start things off, and then some familiar faces for pretty much the rest of the 2025. They're familiar. First time we'll be playing the Shuckers in regulation ABA style, but but we've played them in the past, and then we've had the other teams several times in the past in the ABA season. So looking into the 2026 portion, we start off with a game against a team that we haven't played yet. We were on the schedule with them last season. Things kind of fell through, and their season ended a little shorter than expected. But we are scheduled to be at home January 10th against the Midwest Monsters. That's that first logo you see there. Then the following week, we'll have another home and away series, the Saturday game, the 17th, against the Shuckers, and the following day, the Sunday on the 18th, against the Shuckers on the road. Obviously it's a little bit easier to do that, the home and away series with a team that's within that proximity location wise, and it just makes it a little bit easier for that. I also really kind of like that idea of having our 4 games against the Shuckers scheduled that way, because it is quite literally, you kind of see the guys, and they're about a month away as far as the two different series, but the ability to have them at home and then on the road, seeing the adjustments that you can make, seeing also the kind of wear and tear that you have, from 1 week to a, or not from 1 week, from one day to the next, is also a thing that's going to be able to set us up for when we get into the playoffs, or play-ins, when you have that weekend of games. So really looking forward to those 4 games, especially. Then we've got another new team that it'll be our first time playing against, but a team that was in our division from last season, the Windy City Inferno. That game is scheduled for January 24th. We've also got a back-to-back weekend there, so that is. Um, Saturday would be up in Chicago. Then Sunday is scheduled to be in Nashville. So a little bit of a travel, a little bit of a road trip in that. We'll be going against the Aces, a team that we faced off against several times throughout our existence. But good games always against the Aces. Uh, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But the Aces have been a pretty strong team, the past 2 seasons as well. Typically in that power rankings, Windy City Inferno last season were in those power rankings as well. So that could be a tough stretch of games right there, especially on a road trip back to back with some travel involved. Then to wrap up the month of January, we'll be back home on the 31st against the St. Louis Spirit. So another team we haven't played yet, but we will have that first weekend of games. We will have our first matchup against the Spirit. Then we've got on February 14th, I think that's Valentine's Day, if I'm not mistaken. A game against the South Bend Bison, a new team in the ABA. First time that we'll be facing off against them. But we do have a home game against them on the 14th, and then that one at the end of the season, our very last game, we'll skip just ahead to that, is March 1st. That game is on the road against the South Bend Bison. So we've got those 2 games against them. Again, and that'll be our first time playing against them, a new team in the ABA. Then we've also got the February 21st matchup. That one is also against the Windy City Inferno. So we have 2 games scheduled against most of these teams. Um, you know, home and away series for the most part. A few outliers in there, but that'll be the home and away. That'll be the home portion of that series against the Windy City Inferno. Again, that is a very competitive team, a team that was ranked in the top 25. For a good portion of last season, very competitive team. So team that we are looking forward to playing against. Then we've got the matchup on the 28th against the Missouri Capitals. And again, that's going to be at home. So a 4-game home stretch there, kind of to wrap most of the season off. And then we've got that final game, as mentioned, on the 1st of March against the South Bend Bison on the road. But got a lot of different opportunities here. It'll be our first season where we don't play, at least currently on the schedule, the defending champions. But obviously, you still got the playoffs and play-ins, and we can always have that at that point. So still a possibility for it. But we see a little bit of a different schedule. A lot of it, again, we mentioned, is a little bit to do with the ABA and how they're kind of mandating schedules, which is honestly a good thing. It kind of keeps and helps regulate the schedules. That way, it's not something that can kind of be manipulated. Not saying that it necessarily was, but some teams or people or whatever felt certain ways about things, and some teams had 12 games and other teams had 24 games. So it's just kind of helped to stabilize the playing field and, kind of competitively and equally compare different teams when it came to playoff times. So think that is the biggest factor with it. But I think it's also going to help us kind of comparatively look at our team throughout the league as well. Because we felt that we kind of scheduled some of the more difficult games. Not saying that these are easier games per se, but like we kind of went out of our way to try to play the defending champions and other teams that have been champions in the past. So we'll see how everything plays out this season, but definitely looking forward to the schedule that we do have on hand. I also kind of like that we have pretty much an even set as far as home and away series goes. So that is also a cool thing. Um, as well. But since we got the schedule out, that also gives us a great opportunity to remind you just for a limited time. Pretty soon, this is going to go away. There is an opportunity to get your early bird season tickets for $49.99. That's basically half price as far as the ticket goes. That is $5 a game if you break it down per game. For your season tickets, and it's an opportunity to have access to all of the home games at Best Choice Fieldhouse. That is also going to include any playoff or play-in games that we do host at Best Choice Fieldhouse. So before that offer goes away, definitely recommend that you go and get that season ticket pass. And even if you're thinking about going to a few games, I've mentioned this before, it's worth getting that season ticket pass just because it's equal to quite literally half of those games on the schedule. So instead of paying the full $10 each time and there's 10 home games, this is $49.99. It's half of that price. So even if you're thinking of going to say 5 games, it's going to pay for itself. So definitely take advantage of that opportunity while it is still up. We've mentioned as well as this. So this is if you scan that QR code, that gives you over to the Passage site. That's where you can buy your season tickets, or if you just want individual game tickets, that's also an option over there as well. But as I was saying, so that'll get you over to the Passage site. And we've mentioned over the past couple of weeks, kind of teasers and hints. There is a new website in development for the Instigators. It's going to be an Instigator-specific website with an app attached to it as well. I've seen the sneak peeks of it. If you're a Patreon member, you may have already seen that sneak peek, and we want to thank everyone who is a Patreon member and who is part of that insider access with the Apex Athletic Collective, who had that opportunity to view that. But if you yourself want to see that and other insider information with the Apex Athletic Collective and the Hoosier State Instigators, you can go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/Apex Athletic Collective, and join and have those exclusive access, as well as opportunities to have, a say with the fan voter tier at $10 or higher. We have an opportunity to make impactful decisions, not only with the Instigators, but with the whole AAC. Um, you know, Quite literally, votes will determine, kind of ownership role level questions. There's always fun questions too as well, but things like we have. Um, I think last season, I think we'll probably wind up doing this again this season as well. Home and away jerseys. If it's going to be the the black jerseys or the white jerseys, you're probably going to get to decide that again as well. And then we always have player evaluations, and we have different opportunities throughout as well. Last season we had the fans ban, but a bunch of different things for that fan voter tier. But again, you might have seen that inside scoop of that website with a little bit of advance notice for those insiders on the Patreon. But if you're not a member, go ahead and check it out. There's different tiers, and you can go ahead and sign up to stay up to date with all of your Apex Athletic Collective news over there, as well as the Instigators. So we got that. We should be launching that here shortly, hopefully within the next month, hopefully or so. We've got that, but it's cool because it's going to be an instigator specific website. This the website that we had, the Apex of Sports website. That one was, like a general site for Apex Athletic, um, and it had a instigators tab on there. So there is that. Then we've got, I think that's pretty much it for the instigators news that we've got. As far as Apex news, we did have amateur night last weekend. It returned last Saturday at 1. This week we will be off, but we do plan on returning the following. So this week's off, but hopefully next week we'll be back with some more Penguins baseball. If you didn't catch last week's episode, perfect time to catch up on next next day tomorrow, with amateur night. That one is up on YouTube as well. Streaming news as well. Let me see. I don't know if I got the graphic for it, but I think we've got a post I can at least share. Yeah, let's share the screen because I forgot to grab the graphic for it. But you can see here, I'm over on the Patreon, but we've got the digital DK graphic up there. Again, I forgot to download it, so we got this one showing on the screen of the screen. So digital DK is going to be streaming on the Apex athletic side. That is going to be another event going on for the dark web wrestling. So that's going to be streaming live on the Apex Athletic Collective Twitch. That's going to be September 18th. So coming up this week at 8 p.m. Uh, don't miss that. A lot of different action going on in that. If you haven't already caught up on Dark Web Wrestling, you can catch up on that. That's going to be over on the Dark Web Wrestling YouTube as well as on the Apex Athletic Collective Twitch. You can catch up on that as well. But a lot of different fights on the line for that, a title match as well, and a lot to enjoy for that. Our first big event there with Dark Web Wrestling, Digital DK, September 18th. I believe that's Thursday. Yeah, yes, Thursday at 8 p.m. So don't miss that. An opportunity to catch up on or catch the new action on the Dark Web Wrestling series. So that is this Thursday. The other thing we'll share the screen on is the Oakland Ballers. So Oakland Ballers, other AAC news, they are in the playoffs now. You can see if we go here, Ballers finishing up the season with 73 wins. That was 2 days ago. So they just finished up the season. Then we've got game 1 win yesterday. And click on this to see. So 4-2, 4-2 win for the Ballers against the Raptors. Got that. Just kind of skimming through here, and it looks like the Ballers just need one more victory to earn a spot in the Pioneer League Championship Series. So game 2 is slated for game 2. It looks like it's slated for right about now. So that's Pacific time, so that's right about now. As far as that goes, so I have to check in next week and see if the Ballers are on their way to the championship. But a very successful season for the Ballers this year. 73 wins on the season. I think that probably would put them. Yeah, that was by far the best best mark in the modern era of the Pioneer League with that 73 and 23 record. Um, so very, very successful year for the Ballers, and they're looking to continue that going into these playoffs. So hopefully we could see them in the championship series coming up here. But that's your Ballers news. We'll check back in next week on that, catch you back up. But that is most of the info on there. Um, but that is pretty much it for tonight's episode, actually. We'll be back next week, again, Fridays as always, 9 p.m. Eastern, with all your Instigators news. And actually, one more thing I will throw in there. Um, just found out last night they did release Haunted House of Pancakes. That was the film that I was in. I have not had a chance to watch it yet. I'll try to watch it this weekend. But I did wear Instigators gear in it. I have the gear somewhere in the closet. Um, I'll have to find it maybe for next week and pull it out and show. But I had the Instigators gear on for the filming of the movie. All I know is that I supposedly was listed in the credits and I'm credited on IMDb for it. So waiting to see. Hopefully, hopefully it's visible enough that you can see some Instigators gear, um, and definitely share some stuff on that. If I do watch it and I see that, we'll share that. But I think that is streaming through the only way to watch it currently. Obviously, there's going to be other ways to watch it in the future. But Haunted House of Pancakes is available for rent or purchase on Amazon Prime Video. So that's the other news for tonight's episode. But that's going to be it for what we got tonight. But hopefully, I can pull some clips and share what we got on from that. But Haunted House of Pancakes, that's the name of the movie. You can watch it if you want to watch it as well. But again, hopefully, you can at least see some Instigators gear in there too. Regardless, so it should be a fun movie to watch. But we'll be back, Friday nights as always, with all your Instigators news. Again, season tickets only up for a limited time. We'll probably be taking that down soon. So don't forget, if you haven't already, get your early bird season tickets. Best Choice Fieldhouse, great venue. I'll be out there for as many games as I can make it out to. But it is an opportunity for each and every fan to have a front court seat, court side seat. It's a very interactive atmosphere. Um, and we look forward to seeing everyone out there for all of the games. But I think that is going to be it for tonight's episode. We'll be back. We'll see you next week. Thank you as always for joining us for Instigate Success, Building an ABA Franchise, the official podcast of your Hoosier State Instigators. And we will be back next week on Friday. Until then, as always, be great and instigate.